They say every relationship has a breaking point, but what no one ever tells you is that sometimes the break doesn't come with a scream. Sometimes it comes dressed in candlelight, wearing kindness, moving slow, almost tender. And when it happens, you don't feel like a monster. You feel awakened. My name is Elena Brooks. I'm 39, and I live in Tucson, Arizona. I run a small artisan bakery just outside the historic district. For most of my adult life, I've been the image of commitment, faithful, dependable, ordinary. I've spent the last 12 years with Alex. He's 47, an architect with the kind of calm demeanor that puts people at ease. Our life was neat, steady, quiet. But behind the front door of our perfectly manicured house was a relationship that had long lost its color. We weren't unkind to each other. We were just done pretending. The laughter had dimmed. The spark was gone. We became polite cohabitants, performing affection out of habit rather than passion. Until one night, he gave me a gift. Something I never asked for. Something I still don't know how to define. It was raining that Saturday, our anniversary. I had closed the bakery early and slipped into a red dress I hadn't worn in years. I expected dinner reservations. A toast. Maybe even a quiet apology for the years we'd lost. Instead, I opened the door to candlelight, and two strangers. They sat on the sofa across from Alex like they'd been there all evening. Calm. Confident. Dressed in dark tailored suits. They sipped scotch, completely at ease. Alex rose, greeted me with a kiss on the cheek, and whispered, "Happy anniversary." I froze. Then he spoke, slowly, carefully. "I want you to feel something again. I've been planning this for months." I didn't understand at first. And when I did, I thought I would scream. But I didn't. I just stood there, heart hammering, uncertain if I was insulted or intrigued. The taller one, Marcus, stood first. His voice was deep, warm, grounding. "You're beautiful," he said, brushing a hand against the small of my back. Then came Julian. His touch was gentler, reverent, like I was something sacred. My knees buckled. My breath caught. Alex poured me a glass of wine, then stepped back, silent, watching. I should have walked away. But I didn't. That night unfolded like a fever dream, hot, slow, surreal. Marcus kissed my neck like he knew every memory stored in my skin. Julian kissed my lips like he wanted to steal my breath. Their hands explored me with reverence, with hunger, and I didn't resist. I melted. I disappeared. I was no longer a woman starved of affection. I was worshipped. By the end, I was undone. My hair a mess, my heart pounding, my skin marked in places I'd forgotten could still feel. And Alex, he walked over and kissed my forehead like he had just handed me a bouquet, not unraveled our entire lives. But what he gave me wasn't a gift. It was the beginning of a fracture. The next morning, I stood in the shower far too long. I scrubbed, hard. But no matter how hot the water, I could still feel them. Marcus's breath at my neck, Julian's hands on my waist, and worst of all, Alex's steady gaze. Quiet. Proud. Detached. At breakfast, Alex hummed a tune while buttering toast. He didn't speak of the night before, didn't ask how I felt. He simply looked up once and said, "You're incredible," like it was a compliment and not a consequence. But that wasn't the most disturbing part. It was her. Sienna. Alex's daughter from his first marriage. She had moved in just a few weeks prior after dropping out of college. 19. Reserved. Always with earbuds in. She floated through the house like a whisper. But that morning, she wasn't floating. She stood in the hallway, sipping coffee from a chipped mug, watching me. No shock. No judgment. Just interest. Her gaze was sharp, unblinking. She had heard something. Maybe even seen something. And in that silence, something passed between us, a flicker of understanding. Later that day, as I folded laundry in the living room, she walked in quietly. "Those men," she said, voice calm. "They were here for you, weren't they?" I froze. "I heard things," she added, her eyes narrowing. I expected disgust. But there was something else in her voice. Something dangerous. Curiosity. You sounded like someone else, she said, sitting beside me. Like a woman who didn't care who was listening. I turned to her, finally. And for the first time, I saw her not as Alex's daughter, but as a young woman on the edge of discovery. Her gaze lingered on me, as if waiting for permission I couldn't grant. That night, I found her in my bedroom. She stood at my vanity, holding my perfume. The same one I had worn that night. She sprayed it. Inhaled deeply. Smiled. She turned toward the mirror, met my eyes through the reflection, and said, "I wonder what it felt like to be the center of everything." I said nothing. Because deep down, I knew, I had left the door open. And she was already stepping through. In the days that followed, Sienna changed. Her clothes, her posture, the way she walked past me in my old silk robe. She was watching. Studying. Rehearsing. And then came the night everything shattered. Alex claimed he had a business dinner. The house was quiet. Just me and Sienna. Until the door opened around 9 p.m. It wasn't Alex. It was them. Marcus and Julian. And standing in the doorway to welcome them was Sienna. She laughed. Poured wine. Brushed hair behind her ear with a flirtatious tilt I recognized all too well. She was mimicking me. And then, she looked down the hall, directly at the shadow where I stood. She knew I was watching. She wanted me to see. By the time I stepped out of the bathroom that night, the house was silent again. Sienna's door was closed. The wine glasses were gone. And the damage was done. The next morning, Alex sat at the kitchen table with a white envelope in front of him. He didn't look at me. I sat down. Inside were photographs, grainy, low resolution. Taken from a hidden camera, maybe a smoke detector. They showed everything. Me. Marcus. Julian. But beneath those were newer photos. Sienna. With them. In the same bed. When I looked up, Alex was gone. Suitcase in hand. Door left wide open. No note. No goodbye. Just silence. But this time, it wasn't silence of peace. It was silence of consequence. I had torn something apart. Yes, the marriage. But worse than that, I had become something I never intended to be. A mirror. A teacher. A flame passed to someone too young to carry the weight of the burn. And now, she wasn't looking for answers. She was looking for more.